In a quiet village named Umoma, there lived a young man named Ekene. He was known for his kindness, his hard work, and his gentle nature. Yet, despite all his good qualities, Ekene had a secret that weighed heavily on his heart. Unlike other men in the village, Ekene had a small manhood. This was a source of great embarrassment for him, and he often avoided conversation about marriage and relationships because the men of Umoma were known for their ability to satisfy their women immensely. Every eligible man in the village prized themselves with that attribute. So this gives Ekene great worry because he was different. It made him regret why he was born as a man. I should have come to this world as a woman, he would sometimes say to himself with frustration. He had taken every concussion given to him by different native herbalists to enhance his manhood, but none of these herbs did any work. His manhood still remained tiny. Ekene's first attempt at love was with a young woman named Adan. She was beautiful, with a laugh that could brighten anyone's day. Ekene admired her from afar for many months before he gathered the courage to approach her. When he finally did, Adan was charmed by his sincerity and agreed to spend time with him. Because Ekene was a food to the eyes, sculpted like a god, one could fall in love with him by just looking at him. They would meet by the riverside, talking and laughing as they watched the sunset. Adade found herself drawn to Ekene's kindness and gentle spirit, and soon their bond grew stronger. As time passed, Ekene and Adane's relationship blossomed, and it wasn't long before they decided to get married. The entire village was buzzed with excitement as Ekene was a well-liked young man and Adane was beloved by all. Though some of the beautiful women in the village were jealous of Adane because every young woman in the village has fantasized about Ekene being their husband. On the day of their marriage, the sun shone brightly and the air was filled with sounds of celebration. Everything seemed perfect, but Ekene couldn't shake the fear gnawing at his heart. That night, when the celebrations had ended and the villagers had gone back to their huts, Ekene and Adane were finally alone in their hut. He was nervous, his heart pounding in his chest as he thought about what was to come. Adane, sensing his anxiety, reassured him with a gentle smile. But when they finally came together, the room was filled with love, romance, and ecstasy as they collided. And in the heat of the moment, Ekene penetrated Adane, and as he thrust it in and out, he wanted to know if Adane was enjoying it as well. He asked her, "Are you enjoying it, my love?" Adane was confused as she asked Ekene, "Wait, are you in already?" "But I can't feel anything," Adane stammered in confusion. Ekene's heart sank. His worst fears were realized. Adane's initial surprise turned into confusion and then disappointment as she realized what was happening. She tried to hide her feelings, but Ekene could see the change in her eyes. In the days that followed, Adane became distant. She avoided Ekene's touch or him talking of making love to her. Their first encounter was a disaster, and the laughter that once filled their home was replaced with an uncomfortable silence. Ekene's heart broke as he watched the love they once shared slip away. He knew that this small manhood was the cause of her unhappiness, and though he tried to make up for it with kindness and attention, nothing seemed to work. After a few months, Adan couldn't bear it any longer. I can't stay in a marriage that I can't enjoy my sex life. That's the most important thing to me, because marriage is a lifetime deal and forever is too long to spend being unhappy, she said to Ekene as she packed her things and left their home, returning to her parents' house. The village whispered about the failed marriage and Ekene's tiny manhood. All the women in the village started thanking the gods that they were not unfortunate to marry Ekene. Ekene was left alone, heartbroken, his heart heavy with sorrow. Few months passed, and Ekene tried to move on with his life. He threw himself into work, hoping to forget the pain of his failed marriage. But the whispers in the village never stopped. The women looked at him with pity, and the men avoided discussing matters of the heart around him. Ekene began to believe that he would never find happiness or love again, because all the women in their village avoided him like a plague. His story already circulated the whole village about his tiny manhood. One day, a stranger came to the village. Her name was Adora, and she was unlike anyone Ekene had ever met. She was not the most beautiful woman in the village, but there was something about her that drew people to her. She was confident, with a warm smile and a heart full of kindness. Adora had come to Umoma village to visit her aunt, but she quickly became a beloved member of the community. Ekene was fascinated by Adora. He admired the way she spoke her mind, how she wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in. He noticed how she treated everyone with respect, regardless of their status or appearance. Despite his fears, Ekene found himself drawn to her, and soon they began to spend time together. They would walk through the fields talking about life, their hopes, and their dreams. Adora made Ekene feel at ease, and for the first time in a long while, he felt truly happy. As they grew closer, Ekene began to fall in love with Adora, but his past haunted him. He feared that if they grew too close, Adora would leave him just as Adan had. He tried to keep his distance, but Adora could see through his facades. She noticed the sadness in his eyes, the way he would sometimes withdraw into himself. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Adora gently asked him what was troubling him. Ekene hesitated, but he knew he couldn't hide the truth from her. With a heavy heart, he told Adora about his failed marriage, his small manhood, and the shame that had followed him ever since then. He expected her to be shocked, to pull away from him as Adan had. But Adora did not flinch. She listened quietly, her eyes filled with understanding. When Ekene had finished, Adora took his hand in hers. "Ekene," she said softly, "you are more than your body, your heart, your kindness, your spirit. These are what made you the man you are. I see the way you care for others, the way you treat everyone with respect. That is what matters to me, not the size of your manhood." Ekene was stunned. He had never heard anyone speak to him this way. A weight lifted from his shoulders, and for the first time, he felt truly seen. Adora's words filled him with hope, and as the days passed, their relationship deepened. Ekene found himself opening up to her in ways he never had with anyone else. They became inseparable, and soon they were the talk of the village. Adora's arrival in Umoma village was not just a casual visit to see her aunt. It was also an escape from a life filled with its own set of challenges. In her own village in Oba, Adora had been engaged to a man named Ebuka, a strong and handsome warrior who was admired by many. But despite his outward charm, Ebuka had a dark side. He was proud and controlling, always demanding that Adora conform to his expectations. He wanted a woman who would be submissive, someone who would cater to his every need without questions. Adora, however, was not the kind of woman to be easily controlled. She was strong-willed and independent, with a clear sense of what she wanted in life. This led to constant clashes between her and Ebuka. The final straw came when Ebuka humiliated her in front of the entire village, accusing her of being ungrateful and stubborn. Hurt and heartbroken, Adora decided to leave Oba and seek solace in her aunt's village, hoping to find peace and perhaps a new beginning. Now, in Umuoma village, Adora found the peace she sought, but she also found something unexpected: Ekene. Unlike Ebuka, Ekene was gentle, kind, and respectful. He treated Adora as an equal, valuing her opinions and her independence. This was a stark contrast to what she had experienced with Ebuka, and it drew her to Ekene in a way she never expected. So Ekene's small manhood did not matter to Adora because, in her eyes, love was about more than just physical pleasure. It was about trust, respect, and a deep emotional bond. Ekene provided her with everything she had been missing in her previous relationships, and that made their love strong and fulfilling. Adora's past had taught her that a true partner was one who valued her heart and soul, and that's exactly what she found in Ekene. In their intimate moments, Ekene's attentiveness and care made her feel more cherished than she had ever had before. The way he pays attention to her body, caressing, touches at the right places, makes her feel over the moon. Though his manhood is tiny, but he uses it very well, bringing so much satisfaction to Adora. It wasn't about physical satisfaction alone. It was about the deep emotional and spiritual connection they shared. But not everyone was happy about their relationship. Some of the women who had once admired Ekene began to spread rumors about Adora, saying that she was only with him out of pity. Others whispered that she was using him for his kindness and was extorting him, that she would eventually leave him like Adan had. The rumors grew louder, and soon, even Ekene began to doubt the sincerity of Adora's love for him. One day, the village elders called Ekene to a meeting. They told him that they had heard the rumors and that they were concerned for him. They advised him to end his relationship with Adora before he got hurt again. Ekene was torn. He loved Adora deeply, but the fear of being abandoned again gnawed at him. He didn't know what to do. That night, Ekene couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, his mind racing with doubt and fear. What if? What if this is true? God, I thought you finally heard my prayers and sent me Adora. If she leaves me, I will die. She's the only woman that has ever made me feel like a real man. Ekene lamented the whole night. Finally, he decided that he had to know the truth. The next day, he asked Adora to meet him by the riverside where they had first begun their friendship. As they sat together, Ekene told her about the rumors and the elders' warning. He asked her if she truly loved him or if she was only with him out of pity. Adora's eyes filled with tears. She took Ekene's hands in hers and looked into his eyes. "Ekene," she said, her voice trembling, "I love you with all my heart. I have never felt this way about anyone before. I don't care what others are saying, and I don't care about the size of your manhood. I love you for who you are, for the man you are inside." Ekene felt a rush of emotion. He could see the sincerity in Adora's eyes, and he knew that she was telling the truth. In that moment, all his doubts and fears melted away. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close as tears streamed down his face, as if Adora could disappear any moment. He held her so tightly to his heart. From that day on, Ekene and Adora's love grew stronger. They faced challenges and obstacles, but they faced them together. The village eventually came to accept their love, and soon they were married in a joyful celebration. Ekene knew that he had found someone who loved him for who he was, and he was determined to cherish her for the rest of his life. Adora took in and bore him quadruplets, all boys. When Ekene looked at his little boys, he couldn't believe that his tiny manhood could produce these wonderful blessings. Their love story became the talk of the village, a testament to the power of true love. Ekene and Adora built a life together, filled with laughter, joy, and deep affection. And in the quiet moments when they were alone, Ekene would often think back to the time when he believed he would never find happiness. But now, with Adora by his side, he knew that he had found something far greater than he had ever imagined. And so, Ekene and Adora lived happily ever after, their love a shining example for all who knew them. The villagers would often tell their story to their children, teaching them that true love sees beyond appearance and embraces the heart within.